from the 280 Project and Feed the People Collective. Before we get into this gardening workshop, I just want to give y'all some prompts. Chris is a shining example of community work, viewing farming as liberation and gardening as the pathway to food sovereignty. Chris is pretty well known for the work that he does in his community garden and bridging that work into the wine industry. So I share all of that to say, yes, this is a gardening workshop, but it is all connected. And we can ferment the things that we grow at home. And as Chris kind of walks us through this, he's also going to outline why it is that growing your own food is a pathway to sovereignty. So I hope you enjoy this demo. I encourage you all to talk to Chris after this, pick his brain a little bit. Brilliant human being you have here with us. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. So, anybody want to come down? If you want to come down, I'll give it just a second. Drink some water. Hope everybody's having a great time today. But first, I'll go ahead since everybody can hear me. I'll just give a backstory on how this got started, how food in this type of style got started for me. So let's see. I'll give you proximity of where I live. I live 5 minutes away from a massive urban farm that's 2.5 acres in the middle of San Francisco. But it also sits directly next to a housing project, which is mainly Black, Latin, Asian community members. On that property, though, I noticed that the main people that use that property, because it's all free food, it's a free food garden. SF Public Parks owns the space, and then farmers farm it for the community. The Black population does not utilize it. So it was something that sparked my interest in like, why are we disconnected from food? So early in the pandemic, I was trying to figure out how do I help the community. Jade mentioned that I feed the community also. We cook food off this farm, we feed people, but I thought there needed to be something that would draw people in, because literally I see Asian and Latin families go to this farm every single day and walk in and walk out with tons of food for free. But the Black population doesn't, and it's maybe feeling unsafe, unwelcomed, stigmas towards being on the land, attachment to like slavery still, but a lot of it's real. It feels really horrible. I've had people there ask me, and not being rude, but being like, what the fuck are you doing here? That's slave shit. Like, why are you working on the land? So my goal the entire time has been to try and create some kind of healing in this space, to make people feel safe, to make people feel inspired and happy and want to be able to grow their food, because I've had the privilege of being able to eat good food my entire life. And that comes from being chitlins to collard greens, anything, but my family cooks for me, and they taught me how to cook also. You know what I mean? Like, I paid attention to my grandma making gumbo, my grandfather making zucchini bread, but it wasn't packaged products. Besides like the Tony Shashra or whatever, like seasoned packet. So, you know what I mean? Like that. Other than that, like everything else has been handmade and paid attention to. My family didn't necessarily garden really or anything, but ever since I was a kid, I was really into growing plants. And just same thing at George Washington Park and shit. Like, how does nature work? Why is it doing that? The sun operates everything, obviously. We need water, we need food. That's all we kind of need to survive and shelter. So why is it so hard to figure this out? You know? So 2020, I had the opportunity to work with BHNC. It's Bernal Heights Neighborhood Collective. It is a organization that runs the projects. So over the city, they run. And these are that have about families from anywhere to like 2 to 5 people in each house. So it's lots and lots of people. I had the opportunity to basically create a program to teach people how to grow food in their homes that don't have access, who can't walk, who are elderly, who can't afford groceries, stuff like that. Like, how can they supplement some type of way? So, yeah, luckily at that time I was working, I had access to starts, I had access to other people's money and materials. So I was like, you help me buy hydroponic systems, help me buy garden bags, which you can see Paradise has gardening bags all around this property, those black bags with plants growing in them. It's another thing I was going to show a demo on, but they're here already. So you can literally grow in cloth bags, you can grow in coffee bags that you did when they ship coffee, the hemp bags. You can use that. You can fold it up, put soil in it, put plants in it, and grow food in it. So me doing this was really heavy because when I do Feed the People Collective, I literally go door to door after we cook food on the farm property, actually farm to table. So you all hear that term farm to table, and most of the time it's bullshit. We literally actually take food from the farm, cook it on an outdoor kitchen, and run it into the projects, door to door, knock on every single person's door. How much food do you want? And it's no limit, you know what I mean? Like, we don't have any kind of governing system about why you need it. I just drop food off and people say thank you. But once you see enough elderly people who can't walk or who are in a wheelchair sitting in the dark, that kind of stuff, you start to realize that it's all of our responsibility to do something that we can like pass down or give as a skill that'll help people. So this thing was kind of simple for me. So literally we ordered these off of Amazon. I literally kind of just stole these from you guys. I stole the soil too. I stole the rocks, the aggregate, and I'll show you guys one. Yeah, honestly, a lot of the times I just take plants. I take plants, I take soil, I take wine boxes, I turn them into planters. And that's kind of what I try and show people is like anything around you, literally you can grow food in. But things you're sitting on, you flip that upside down, put soil in it, grow food in it. Everything, you know, like all of it. Like, it's amazing. You literally can find a piece of land anywhere and just start growing food. But to be able to grow in your house, if you have a windowsill, this is something that you would use. So basically, I'll run down the program to you guys really quick, what we started. So where I worked was Alamany Farm, and I worked on a board called Friends of Alamany Farm. So Friends of Alamany Farm will offer weekly video instructions in both English and Cantonese to be filmed on site at the Alamany Greenhouse. We will partner with BHNC to adapt a written material program, class series, such that students unable to access videos have written schedules to follow. Every other week, Friends of Alamany Farm will host bilingual office hours, blah, blah, blah. People can enjoy. So I can film these things on a GoPro camera and then upload them to YouTube. So I'll give you guys the link to you to watch all these videos if you want to. So it's basically a 12-week series. And when it starts out, I'll just go through the 12 weeks first and then I'll put this together. Week 1 is introduction to me, the instructor. And then my friend who was doing the Cantonese interpretation. And then basically we would also do an introduction to the tools that you need. You need your hydroponic system, you need your soil, you're gonna need your starts, your seeds, your bag, your tools like your spade and stuff like that. Let's see. And then we basically have people kind of pick a place in their house that has the most sunniest location, and that's where we start. Week 2 is the basics of seed sowing. Does anybody know what sowing seeds is? Yeah. So sowing seeds is the act of like planting seeds in the ground. And you literally kind of, I wish you could see it better, but you kind of just take your finger, run it through the soil, create a little ditch, sprinkle your little radish seeds, whatever seeds, lettuce seeds in there, and then cover them back up. And that's sowing seeds. So showing people to do that, and that starts to make you realize that people don't know how to plant seeds. So that's like one of the problems is that we don't know how to grow stuff. It's dangerous. Week 3, we talked in week 2 about how often you should be watering these things. And with this hydroponic system, it's easier. You basically don't have to really check on the water levels. It has a little area right here where you can see it and just look at it every single day, and it tells you how much water is in there. So once it starts getting like halfway down, you can water it again and fill it back up. So that one's really easy. With the gardening bags, it's a little bit different. You have to touch the soil, feel the soil, see how dry it is. Put your hand down in there a little bit more because it's not just about the surface. Week 3, water and germination checkup. And in the bags, so in the hydroponic system, we did like basil, cilantro, things like that. In those planter bags, like the ones on site, we did radishes. And then I did like a ring. I did radishes in the middle, and then I did a ring of like lettuce. Mix as a circle around it. So you can grow multiple things in one system. So you basically have a full salad at your house. Another way to do it would be like green onion bunch, basil, cilantro. So you have multiple different things. You don't have to go out and buy herbs. Week 4, we transplant the folk starts. So that's where we start getting into beads. These are basically considered starts because they're not seedlings. They're tall enough that once you plant them and you give them water, they're just going to keep going. And that's basically access to a nursery. So that's another type of thing. It's like, how many people know where to go get plant starts? You know, unless it's Lowe's or something like that. And I don't know, driving around here, I even asked, I was like, is there a nursery around or something? It's like, I haven't seen them yet, but it's one of those things too. It's like, there isn't always that access to gardening materials. So showing people how to steal plants is kind of the right thing to do. Week 5, you want to check up on your plants. And I would discuss fertilizing, where we would use a liquid organic fertilizer. Basically, this tiny little green bottle. You don't have to use much of it, but you just kind of see if your plants are doing well, if they're like wilting, browning, or anything like that. Aphids, we start getting into pest control, pest management. That's where, same thing, I taught these folks how to use, either you can use like a diluted soap spray for aphids, or you can use like apple cider vinegar, certain things. So you can use very natural products to get bugs to go away. Not all bugs are good, it sucks. Week 6, we would also, I taught people how to start an avocado seed from start. Has anybody started an avocado tree before? So toothpicks in the sides, you leave the avocado a little bit soaking in water. Like if it was in here, you put the water up to here, put like 3 toothpicks in it, and basically let it sit in there in a sunny window, and then roots sprout at the bottom, starts coming out the top of the leaves. So I showed people how to do that so they can start a tree, because that's empowering. Once you can start a tree from seed, you start realizing you can grow anything. Let's see, week 7 is when we started sowing our radishes. And week 8, we're already harvesting food. Like that's not that long. Like in 2 months of kind of taking care of it. And that's the thing, is that you can be picking at stuff while you want to, but if you want to, you can like do full harvests within like 8 weeks. Week 9, I taught people how to sprout sweet potatoes. So sweet potatoes, you can literally take a potato from your counter that's been sitting there and has eyes on it, sprouts, and you can put that in the soil and start growing more potatoes. So if you want to start a sweet potato, you start it very similar to the avocado. It's a little bit different than a regular potato, but you basically put it in water. And I think a lot of kids that had a cool teacher taught them how to do it in school. Same thing, toothpicks, put it in water, and then it starts rooting, and then leaves come out the top. And then let's see, week 10, I got the participants from all the housing, the elderly folks or elders that wanted to show and tell their how their gardens were doing, and it was awesome. They're very proud about what they've grown, and yeah, it just feels really cool. And yeah, I really do. I hope you guys watch the videos. It's really corny and funny. Week 11, I taught people how to sprout mung beans. Has anybody sprouted mung beans before? So mung beans are bean sprouts, kind of like microgreens in a way. But basically you take mung bean seeds and you would No. You take mung bean seeds, you rinse them off, you basically clean them a couple of times, put them back in the jar. You want this jar to be basically exposed with air, but your cheesecloth on it. So nothing's gonna be getting into it. And you do that like a couple of times, 3 times, and then they start sprouting. And you can just have mung beans to put on your salad. You can eat them with tinned fish, all kinds of different stuff. And you can do this with all types of seeds. So cilantro seeds, anything. And you can imagine if like cilantro tastes like this as a plant, it tastes like that as a seedling also. So basil, all kinds of different stuff. You can just basically start sprouting in jars. And I don't know if you guys know how much microgreens cost, but they're expensive. So to be able to do that in a jar is pretty awesome. And then week 12 was kind of the wrap up. So yeah, it was a really awesome experience just seeing in 3 months how people can learn basically everything they need to know to be able to like keep growing food on their own if they want to, you know. And it's awesome. There are people in that community that still have these boxes and those bags out in front of their houses and still use them. And now they know to go to Alamany Farm and ask them for free starts. So they basically shake them down and say, I know you guys got free plants. So yeah, that part's awesome. Let's see. But I will show you now how this hydroponic system works, which is really dope. And then if you guys want to keep it, you put it in your window here and you can grow herbs inside. So this little piece of cloth right here is a wick. And what the wick does is I'm going to slide it in between these bottom holes. And that's basically going to suck up all the water from the inside of this. So I put the soil in here right now just to hold it. How many of you have gardens at home right now? Anybody? We need more gardens. Yeah. You can just get a bag. Let's see, where do I do this to not make a mess? Give me one second. So I'm gonna dump the soil in here. So what I did, I went around the yard and I found a couple of different mixtures of soil. So I found like actual potting soil with vermiculite, which is, if anybody's ever seen vermiculite, it's kind of like this like white little styrofoam pieces, and those are for water retention. And then I found other white stones, so there's more air in the actual space, and then sand also to hold more water. Right. You guys hear me like this? Yeah. All right. So let's see, we'll start with cilantro. You guys know how to tell the difference between cilantro and parsley?
Taste.
Bam! There you go. So with this, literally. Yeah, literally just clear a little space. You can put your hand in there, kind of wiggle it around. And you want to just cover the root system, tamp it down, make sure that's covered. And you want to give them about like 3 inches of space, 2 inches of space between each other in here. So the same thing with the basil. It looks wild. You can see in a couple of weeks, the root system just goes straight down into the bottom. So what the wick does is the wick helps provide water to come up until it starts going all the way down. Tap it down again. There's a little line in here. I could put more soil in it, but you don't really want to go above this area because where you actually put water in, it's, hey, that's all I ever get. So yeah, there's a little water hole in here, so you don't want to cover that up, where it's just gonna get all the soil and everything else in the actual bottom. This one's a little droopy, but it'll bounce back. So now you would just basically pour a little bit of water over here just so there is a little moisture on top. And you just start filling. And can you guys see that stud? So you can tell me when you think you see it filling up.
Yes.
Yeah, is it filling?
Yeah, slowly. Right, you're at half.
So, stop. Cool. And that's it. If you were gonna grow the bags inside, you can still grow those bags inside, but what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have like a plate or something under it so that it captures water. Other than that, you can use literally anything in your house, but this is gonna sit in your windowsill, be big enough for you. It's not gonna take up a lot of space, but you're still gonna get a lot out of it. You know what I mean? So if you have a few of these in your house, you can all kinds of stuff without taking up a lot of space. Okay. Anybody got any questions? Yeah.
For me, a big hang up with starting a home garden always lies in soil. Like even just now you referenced 3 different types of soil. And it's just very intimidating, you know, to see all these different options and not know exactly what I think like wants me. When is the easiest kind of way to navigate that or not?
So, I mean, it depends on what you're growing. Different plants need different types of soils, like different rooting vegetables need different soils. That's why I picked to choose like larger rocks that give space for air, like sand that holds water retention. But honestly, like with Google now, you guys can kind of like literally look up everything online. That's what I try and teach people. It's like with gardening, you can find out whatever grows in your zone. So we all live in different zones. We all have different planting zones. So different plants grow well in different types of the year, everywhere, all around the country, and different. You know what I mean? Like that's why grapes in California do so well, like all the way across the country, like to Italy and all that stuff. But yeah, there's each state like kind of has a gardening book too. Pam Pierce wrote a book for San Francisco. It's called the Golden Gate Gardening Book, and she basically outlines everything you need to start a home garden. So it talks about all about soil, stuff like that. But honestly, like resources, I think Google's a great thing. Public library is awesome. Learn anything there. There's tons of Home Depot books and how to start a garden and all that kind of stuff. But literally, I think there's nothing wrong with tinkering. If you're stealing plants and tinkering, why not just try it? But the same thing. If you are like out in nature, forest or something like that, and you see stuff growing, why not take that soil? It's already growing other stuff. You know what I mean? Do that. Like I mean, there are many times when I didn't have money to actually go buy potting soil. That's how I make fish tanks, how I do everything. I just take stuff around and see if it works.
in our area, I know that I used this for a long time ago, that like, you can actually pick up like soil from the state.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that, like in New York City, when I found out, I was like, what? Literally give it away in the spring.
So
Sorry.
I don't know. At Alameda Farm, they do it like a few times a year, and it's through the park system. So the park system runs all of the community gardens. So if you tap into the park system, they're the ones that have the garden systems with the boxes like this. We have to be on a waiting list, and those are the people that divvy out the soil and divvy out the compost. So you can just ask them when they're going to give it away, and you can usually roll up with a few buckets, and if you know the right people, you can just take as much as you want. But it's usually like a 2 5-gallon bucket minimum, at least in California. Yeah, anywhere where you have like a composting, recology, recycling business, you can kind of call them and they might have access to that.
Just to wrap everything back into, et cetera. Do you mind speaking just a little bit about ferments as food preservation and just the whole kind of circle, like self-sustaining?
Yeah, I mean, during the pandemic, I feel like, I don't know, I experienced it where I started making bread. I started keeping a live starter, you know what I mean? Like a sourdough starter. I was pickling a lot. I was making kimchi, all kinds of stuff. But those are foods that you can like make them and kind of forget them and then eat them all the time. You know what I mean? And they're good for your microbiome in your gut and making sure that you're healthy. You know what I mean? But it's actually really cool. It's like I had a friend when I was younger, a Korean kid named Charlie, and his mom was the first person that I ever learned about kimchi from. And I remember just being like, what is that smell, man? And like, she let me taste it. And that was the moment that I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like, what is this? And it had spices in it, and it had cabbage and onions. And because it reminded me of like eating sauerkraut in Germany as a kid. So, yeah, I don't know. It's funny. It's like, those kind of foods, just like wine, are meant to like, I guess, last a while and travel across oceans and keep you alive. Anything else before I gotta go? But I hope everybody, oh, another thing you can do is you can look up free seed banks. So San Francisco has a free seed bank to the SF Public Library. Oakland has a public seed bank. But there are lots of places that will send you free seeds. Utopian Seed Project out of North Carolina, really cool dude. He is all about like heritage okra, collards, different things. And he's all about actually like kind of reclaiming these lost varieties of things that the USDA wants to hold on, but he's like, I'm gonna take care of it and give it back to the people. So that kind of stuff. But yeah, seed saving is huge. I think if you can ever collect seeds, find friends, trade seeds, it's like the new Pokemon card.
In Miami, there's a Miami Seed Project, and they give out free seeds.
Miami Seed Project.
They have them at the libraries, some of the libraries.
You should see my seed collection. It's insane. I have like over 300 varieties of different, and they're all heirloom and organic, and I got them for free. So if anything goes bad, what's up, Rita?
We also use SNAP resources.
Bam.
Free seeds.
Yeah, so EBT, SNAP, if you got that, you can get food, you guys, and grow food. So, and also reach out to your friends that have land, property. For real.
Thank you. You go where you're comfortable. So we invite you to get your final tasting in if you only have an AM ticket. We're going to break for lunch at what time? 2:30? Great. If there are some things that you did not want to take, that you wanted to taste that you did not get the chance to, please do so with respect to the producers and that they also have to eat. But we don't want you to miss out on anything. So yeah, thanks for tuning in on this first portion of ABV Miami. This has been really great. Thank you. See you all back here at 3:30.